And the main reason why I picked this, I didn't want to pick an obviously over-the-top Flair episode to review. I picked this one because Flair is featured heavily in it. And Joe, for those people who don't remember, all 7 of you, David, that Joe is a massive Ric Flair fan. So growing up, I was a Hogan guy. Joe was a Flair guy. It's amazing we still talk and respect each other. But this is the biggest. Joe is the biggest Ric Flair fan. Joe, tell him, when you graduated college, Joe, how did you do that?
Well, when we were in high school, we obviously had our infamous wrestling organization. My primary character was Nature Boy Joe Zupan, and had a magenta velvet colored robe with a white feather boa as Nature Boy on the back that I wore to all the events. When I graduated college, instead of wearing a traditional cap and gown, I decided to wear my Ric Flair robe. In front of all, walking across the stage. And I remember, because my last name's Zupan, sorry, I probably shouldn't, I don't know if I'm supposed to say
the last person.
I'm the last person to walk across the stage. So that's when everybody cheers, obviously, because you're supposed to hold your applause till the end. As I'm walking across the stage, I hear someone in the very front row, and I look down and I see it's like the 50. It was called the 50-year club. All the alumni that had graduated 50 years prior.
Wow.
As I'm walking across, I hear, "There's always got to be one." I was like, "That's right."
I thought you were gonna say you heard a woo. It was like a woo out there. That's what you're gonna hear.
That would have been even classier, but I was just like,
"There's always one."
Like, fuck you, old man.
There's got to be one. I'm like, "That's right, motherfucker."
What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Jess, the Total Package, Craig, the British Bulldog, and the Nature Boy Joe. Cuts us off this week, bringing you our perspective of the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Can someone feed me today's topic?
Our new guest should give today's topic.
I think he picked it.
Guys, I just want to first off say it's an honor and a privilege to be included on the greatest wrestling podcast in the world today.
Well, there are 7 listeners. I surely agree with you with that.
David.
Sorry, Bruce.
Sorry,
for taking your title. Today, Dave, we are talking about Starrcade 1995.
It's an interesting one. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
For audio fans, give us a listen at Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or Google Podcast. Can you do us a favor and watch our videos at our wrestling channel? And even do us a bigger favor on social media. Can you give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019 or on, it's not Facebook anymore, at Our Wrestling Podcast. What is it now?
Is it Mecca?
Mecca?
Meta?
Shaqwady?
Meta?
You can tell in this, to kind of give people some backdrop, there's a tournament between New Japan Pro Wrestling and
it's not even a tournament. It's a
best of 7, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a best of 7, right?
The World Cup of Wrestling.
The World Cup of Wrestling against New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is always fun. But what I'll say is you can tell who wrestled with New Japan and who didn't.
We didn't.
So December 27th in Nashville, Tennessee, the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, 8,200 fans in attendance. The theme is the World Cup of Wrestling. We have Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, and the great Dusty Rhodes at the helm helping us out. Dusty was cracking me up the entire time. I'm sure we'll talk about some of those moments. I was having some fun.
Some Dusty-isms like those.
Dusty's going to be all over this particular episode for sure. Jess, I'm sorry if I put you on the spot. Who were the champions in WWF at the time?
WWF in the competing brand, the world champion was Bret Hart.
Hey.
The WWF Intercontinental Champion was Razor Ramon, who was in the middle of his 4th and final run with the title. He would lose it a month later to Gold Dust at Royal Rumble 1996, and then Scott Hall would not leave the company abruptly and not go to WCW and not help change the face of wrestling. Then WWF Tag Team Champions with the Smoking Guns. And Dave, if you had one guess, who was the WWF Women's Champion back here in December of 1995?
Oh, don't put that on me.
Nobody, and I'll tell you why. Because a week before, Alundra Blaze in WWF, known as Medusa in WCW, showed up on Monday Nitro and threw the Women's Championship in the trash. So the Monday Night Wars were going hot and heavy in 1995, even before NWO, even before they were breaking records.
Well, that's all Ric Flair's fault.
I think that's an interesting point too, because I had always in my memory of everything, I had always assumed that, or always remembered that moment came after the introduction of the NWO.
Yeah,
it's easy to think that they were already firing shots way before that.
Yeah. Bischoff was reading the results in 1995 to Raw. Like, he was doing all that, and then, you know,
he was just more behind the scenes, but he was definitely very much in control. Yeah.
Even without the backstory of the Monday Night Wars, though, I thought like the concept of it was really interesting just as a whole. Like, I would like in WCW/NWA had done this for years, like where they always seem to treat their promotion as more of a sport, you know, and like so they tried to have these kind of sport, like, you know, I mean, this is essentially like the Ryder Cup, you know, it's like the Europeans versus the Americans, like who's going to win, you know. I'd actually forgotten about this card, and I was like, wow, this is actually like a really good idea. We'll talk about how it was executed, but like,
but it was good on paper.
Not having seen this pay-per-view in 26 years, I was like, wow, I forgot about this. Like, this is actually a really good idea.
Later.
Well, and real quick, let me wrap it up. The list of WCW champions coming into this pay-per-view: the WCW World Heavyweight Champion is Macho Man Randy Savage. WCW United States Champion is Kensuke Sasaki. The WCW Tag Team Champions were Harlem Heat, which are on the pay-per-view, which makes no sense at a Starrcade. And the WCW Television Champion was Jonathan B. Bad. I will curse his.
We're gonna get really upset with Johnny B. Bad in this, and it's not his fault. I'll tell you that right now. It is not his fault. But it's not your fault.
The Bad Blaster's his fault, David. It really is.
Well, those are his fault, but the match that we're talking about is not his fault. I have an issue. I have a lot of issues. Okay. We just got to start. Match number one.
Match number uno. It is we're starting off the World Cup here. Like Craig said earlier, it's not a tournament. It's not the winner advances on. It's just a best of 7 matches. Yeah. So we have the WCW star versus a New Japan Pro Wrestling star.
I just
the first one here. When you see tournament, it's not a tournament. The first match here, when you look at this on paper, you're like, holy shit. Open up the pay-per-view with Chris Benoit or John Doe, as a lot of people like to versus Jushin Jushin Thunder Liger. 10 minutes and 29 seconds. I put strong opener. I feel they paced the match, though, as if it was the first round of a tournament. Like, I feel like they were holding back for some reason, like, well, we got to go to a second round, which never happened. Sure. And why does Kevin Sullivan keep ruining my fucking life everywhere? I don't want to see it. I'm tired of him. And why would he cost Benoit the match when he knew it was going to in turn cost WCW a match? Like, it makes no sense to me. Liger gets the pin after Sullivan distracts Benoit and ruins my life. Sure. Now New Japan goes up 1, WCW nothing. I give it a B- because the work was fantastic. I would have given it a B+ if Kevin Sullivan didn't exist. Okay. And if the ending wasn't stupid.
And Jimmy Hart's trying to keep him back. That's unusual.
Liger
got him hooked over.
1, 2, 3. Liger beats him.
Yes, I mean, he won.
And I think Sullivan had a lot to do with it. He had the attention of Benoit.
Yeah, Benoit needed to stay focused, and he didn't, Tony. Bottom line here now, New Japan won. WCW 0.
Wasn't stupid.
I'm going to give you guys a chance to do some Dusty impressions here in just a moment. But I'll tell you, I thought it was a really high start. And I said, well, that is definitely a curtain jerker if you're going to have one. And again, this goes back to the fact that Chris Benoit has been wrestling in Japan for a really long time. And I'm sure he faced Liger on several occasions.
Yes.
They flowed. It wasn't even an issue. They're amazing. We saw Jushin Thunder Liger on New Japan Pro Wrestling
in Long Beach, right?
3 years ago.
Yeah, it was
he retired? Close to 50 years old? Yeah, it was like 47, 48 years old, something like that.
Yeah, it was 1 year before he retired.
Yeah, and still absolutely amazing. So Liger is a god, absolutely incredible. You gotta get in some of that, Dusty, when he says he did a tipsy toe on that one. He did a tipsy toe.
I like when he said his liver is quivering.
I gave it a B+ because I personally thought the match could have been higher into the A category if not for the crappy finish of Kevin Sullivan coming out and nobody explains why. And we still don't know to this day, like, why was Kevin Sullivan involved?
You could ask him yourself, and he'd be like, "I don't know, bro." And if he doesn't know, Joe, go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, like, I mean, just on the Dustyism, right before they start the stuff though, like, he's got this thing. He's like, "We gonna see some clubbing? We gonna see some Heine
we gonna see some clubbing?"
Like, clubbing and Heine kicking. Yeah, I gotta write that one down. Like, awesome. Love you, Dusty.
Yeah.
I actually like watching the match. I was like, man, this is so good. Like I had, like it's obvious that they had wrestled each other like prior. They're definitely doing a very like Japanese style. Like it's very snug, it's very tight.
It's snug, yeah.
Benoit still looks like even as good as Benoit is at this moment, he still seems like you can see what he's gonna become. Not that become, but like his like he's still, all his moves are super tight. His flow from move to move seems a little like awkward. Like he eventually like gets better at that. But like I mean, the match is I thought outstanding. It was a real pleasure to watch. I initially gave it an A- until I saw a yellow robe on a troll, and then I was like, God damn! Immediate inclusion of Kevin Sullivan automatically drops it, no matter what happens.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
The botched tour con Rana was absolutely atrocious and terrible.
I missed that.
You're just like, oh, that looks so bad. So I went from A- to a B+.
Okay.
I thought it was a great move. That superplex off the top, like I remember like the first couple times that we saw, like when somebody actually like the person giving the superplex also went to the top rope and like actually went off the top.
That was the progression, right? Because Wyndham was on the middle rope, and then eventually they all started standing to the top.
But like, Benoit and a couple of those other guys, those were some of the first guys that do it. And it was like, that's awesome. Like, it just makes it look so much better. So I thought I ended up giving
more impact.
Yeah.
Craig, go ahead.
You're allowed to give it 2 grades when Kevin Sullivan does show up. So I gave it a B+ before he showed up, and then a D+ after. So you're allowed to do that when Kevin Sullivan appears. So that's why I gave it.
So the next segment we have. It was a good opener overall. The next interview segment, Mean Gene Okerlund interviewed Eddie Guerrero. All I'm going to say is that
Eddie's
really
so green.
Eventually, he found his character. Let's just say that. But Eddie was so.
Oderley did not exist yet.
Scared little boy that guy.
Yeah, he was so.
Wow.
He was like, I'm here. I prepared. I'm so honored to be here, Gene. I'm like, oh my God, Eddie.
I saw you doing some push-ups, Eddie.
Eddie, you're looking fantastic shape. Say hi to your father.
I put the work in.
The next match, we're going to continue on with the World Cup of Professional Wrestling with only 2 organizations competing in it. It's Alex Wright versus Koji Kimoto. 11 minutes, 44 seconds. There was an odd shot from Tony Schiavone towards Jim Cornette at the beginning of the match where they brought up Smoky Mountain, who Jim Cornette ran at this point and had recently like cooperated with WCW. And then Tony Schiavone goes, "Oh, Smoky Mountain. No one knows how to wrestle there anyway." And I was like, "What?" It's out of nowhere. It's very weird. I thought it was an okay match.
I feel like somebody told him to say that.
It was 2 young guys on a pay-per-view working hard. Arguably, I mean, nobody technically knows who the New Japan guys are. I mean, we knew who some of them were because we'd seen them before, like Chono and Sasaki. But like, I didn't know who Kimoto was. And Alex Wright had only been pushed by WCW for like a year and a half, and he was a young guy. His character was the rookie, basically. Yeah. But they had a good match. Koji gets the pin. New Japan goes up 2, WCW 0. I gave it a C. It was not a bad match. That is not a bad grade. I just thought it was all right, and the crowd was not into it because they weren't really invested in either one of the guys. Go ahead, Joe. Take it.
Yeah, I actually I immediately, once I saw like the graphics come up of who was actually wrestling, I was like, Alex Wright. I was immediately like, oh, this is gonna be an F. Hello. And then the match started, and I was like, I'm not mad at that.
You're not upset about it.
Like Kanemoto, I thought was outstanding. I thought he did like either he trained with or trained like side by side with like the Great Muta, because he looked like Muta in there. Like he had the
quickness and the way he snapped everything.
And, like all these like snap movements were awesome. I thought Alex Wright, like, to use your guys, like he's working hard. He was actually like working hard. Like I wanted to hate everything they did, but I didn't. Like I thought that he was awkward and very like rigid in his movements, but
his legs were longer in proportion to his body. Am I wrong?
That is 100%. I have that in my notes.
And he drop kicked a lot, which made it awkward.
He's like 6'5".
Well, not only did he drop kick though, but he drop kicked head scissors, right, Joe?
Alex Wright is like 7 feet.
He did like a drop kick head scissors,
like 6'5",
really
but
awkward.
like it's like 6 feet of legs and 5 foot of body. And it was really awkward. And like I don't think they should be calling him Das Wonder Kid. I think they should be calling him Das Wonder Schlong. Like
I knew you were gonna go there. I knew you were gonna go there. I was waiting for it.
I mean, really, like if they're gonna give him that kind of music, like he should be doing he should be throwing out like that. Like if he's gonna be a raver type music, throw out ecstasy, glow sticks to the fan. Like
WCW ecstasy.
I'm like a Chippendales, Magic Mike kind of thing going on, whatever, where he's like a porn star. I mean, Das Wonder schlong that up. Like that would have been a little bit more interesting. But
or focus on his legs, like Das Wonder Gams.
But I thought, I thought, like I said, I gave it a B-. I didn't hate it. I actually was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Moto, it was a great counter maneuver.
Well, Moto don't follow up on that thing. Like you said, to follow up right here. Got him hooked. There he is.
Double leg pickup and a rollover. He got him.
2-0.
The winner of the match, representing New Japan, Koji Kanemoto.
Crazy. Go ahead.
Kanemoto, but like.
Similar thoughts. I thought the Koji was great. Snap suplexes. I gave the match a C. It started great and looked like it was going to be a little stiff, and then it went on too long and he slowed down, got a little awkward. They didn't mesh very well. So by the end of it, and even that's with limited time, but the first kind of four minutes or so was great, and they should have ended it under 5. C.
The dropkick head scissors were great and also awkward. I don't know if you guys saw that. That's what Das Wonderdong kept doing the entire time. It was weird. I mean, do people do that now? I haven't seen dropkick head scissors since this match that I watched yesterday. It was really odd to me, but I guess it was kind of cool. Moto makes that mistake of pulling up after the moonsault. There's a bad miss at the top. There's that missile drop kick and that quick flip roll up. It's really odd. There's no big finishes in these matches. It's always like, oh, I got you. I got you. And Moto does win that match with that quick flip. But I gave it a C+. I was not unentertained, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, that's a great match. So I think I was a little more generous than anybody else with the C+.
Well, we're moving on, Dave. We're going to go to an interview segment. Gene Okerlund interviews Sonny Ono. Now,
after he talks about the hotline. Don't forget the hotline.
Well, yeah, and call it, and then it says across the bottom now, this number's no longer.
Luger's ready to talk to you now.
Luger is I can't tell you who's on. He does it all the time. It's like, fine.
Yeah.
Or he name drops Mark.
Hey,
Madden
$2 a minute to have the Giants.
So in this little interview, real quick, I know we're running slightly long, but it just shows what a pro Gene is. Because Sonny Ono, he speaks way better English, of course, than his character lets on. But Gene Okerlund is really good, and it just showed here how good he is, because when he felt that Sonny was struggling, or because I don't know how much TV time Sony has in general. I mean, when he was at WCW, he was on WCW TV a lot.
He had a lot of this pay-per-view. He was
right, but I mean, I think Gene Okerlund was such a pro. He kept him in line. So every time that Sony would stutter a little bit or whatever, Gene would be like, "Don't you start with me!" And I thought it was great, because I was like, Gene is such a professional, to where he knows how to kind of wrangle it in and not let anybody stumble or take the interview somewhere where it shouldn't go. And I just appreciated that about Gene. I don't know why this interview made me just look at him and go, God, I miss you, man. You were so good.
He did the same thing with Eddie Guerrero too. Eddie was obviously he kept asking him leading questions and guiding him let's get you back. What do you want to say? Aren't you upset about what just happened? Yeah, Gene, yes, I am upset about what just happened. And he was
covering the whole pay-per-view too. I love the fact that he was the only interviewer all night.
Yeah, that's great.
Because you got used to seeing Gene's face, and we'd all seen his face growing up, obviously in WWF. But I don't know why.
I got an idea. Why don't you respect Gene?
Yeah, right. I don't know why. I just thought it really struck me in this interview. Out of all the interviews he's done, I was just like, I miss him, and he was really good at what he did. There's a reason for the mean the genies. So the next match is, we're continuing on for this World Cup. It's Lex Luger against Masahiro Chono. 6 minutes and 41 seconds. Masahiro Chono, basically almost a legend at this point in Japan. We knew him very well as wrestling fans. Lex Luger was a wrestler. I'm just kidding. Luger had been around at this point a long time. He wasn't, okay, when I say Luger was huge, I don't mean that he was the biggest he'd ever was in his career, but Chono is not a small guy, and Luger is fucking massive. When they first faced off, I was like, sweet Lord, just proportionate. Luger was so big. I mean, what can I say? This is a safe match for Luger. And Chono is a pro as well. Former NWA world champion, Masahiro Chono was. Luger wins by submission. New Japan Pro Wrestling 2. WCW finally got on the board with 1 here. So it's 2-1. I give it a C-. no particular reason why I gave it a minus. It just was a Luger.
There's reasons.
Chono protected him.
Giovanni, he kicked his Bosnian butt.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, my goodness. It's the torture rack.
He's got him. Yes.
And
Yes.
the fans are standing.
Yes.
He's got him in it. He's asked for the. It's over.
2-1.
Lex Luger.
Yes. Oh, great. Look at him.
And the fans are standing.
And cheering Luger. I can't believe this.
Well, it's quite festive.
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I'll just read my notes. Luger's pressing the start. The crowd is so hot for Luger. Oh my God.
They always were.
Right? It's all about what happens before the ring starts, before the match starts in that ring. And I just even I'm looking at Joe's picture behind me where Flair's chopping the crap out of Luger, and Luger looks great even when he's getting the shit kicked out of him. Like, look at how chiseled the man is, and
Look
it's
at
just
that mullet. Like that's like impressive
yes.
mullet.
I mean, when he gets in there, it's beautiful. It's coiffed. It's like perfect, right? And then the match has
Perfectly
to start.
curved.
Yeah, it was like feathered nicely.
Oh, and then I just have like Chono taking control, and then I just wrote God with a ton of W's in my notes. I'm like, what is happening? And then finally Luger puts him in the rack and puts me out of my misery.
Chono also, I don't mean to cut, Chono Mafia kicked him like 45 fucking times and put him in the STF as well. And Luger somehow gets out of all of that. I'm like, those are two of his goddamn finishers.
So, Chono puts him over to
What the hell's a mafia kick? You just kicked him in the face.
Yeah, that's right. That was funny too. I remember that.
Yeah, have you noticed, by the way, that nobody is prepared to call a senton at all in this pay-per-view? They don't even know what it is. They're like, well, that was a maneuver.
Shivani tried to call it, and then they made fun of him. He's like, "What are you talking about, Shivani? There's no mafia here." He kicked him in the face. Like I'm like, "You're just shitting on Shivani."
You guys are dicks.
It was my favorite moment of the pay-per-view. Tony, Shivani said, "Mafia kicked by Chono," and Dusty said, "He kicked him with a 12.5-inch boot to the mush. Ain't got nothing to do with no mafia." Shut up. Do your
so, Jess, we got the same grade, man. I have a C- right on my paper. I totally agree.
Craig, go ahead. What'd you say?
D. He's like done. He's like D for done.
Joe, go ahead.
I give it a C. I mean, I thought it was pretty typical Luger match. I enjoyed like some of the Chono stuff of like the reverse DDT, the STF is always Luger throwing him up at the rack is like obviously like a really like nice visual. It's an impressive finish, like puts WCW now with a 1 point. C. Nothing to write home about.
The next segment is an interview with Gene Okerlund and Sting. The World Cup of Wrestling here. The next match in the World Cup was Johnny B. Bad versus Mr. Saito. 5 minutes, 42 seconds. So let me stop everybody for a second. Saito's a goddamn legend.
Yes.
And I like Johnny B. Bad. But at the same time, I'm like, first of all, I was like, what the fuck are you doing here? And why would they put you against Johnny B. Bad? No offense against Johnny B. Bad, but Saito should have had some. First of all, Saito was part of one of the greatest tag teams with Mr. Fuji when WWF tag team titles were first establishing their names. They were a great tag team together. He's been a part of so much stuff in Japan. Like Saito is a legit legend. He's done so many things in that ring. So when I was shocked at the great shape he was in 1995. Even though he had a bit of a belly, but he was rock solid. I guarantee you shook that guy's hand, he'd rip your hand off. And I like Johnny B. Bad. We talked about him in the archives. What happened to Mark Marrow? And we do respect Johnny. He really was a good athlete. He tried hard and everything. But I just felt it was an odd mismatch, especially with the legacy, which I guess the American audience wouldn't really know about. But to start off this match, what the fuck was Kimberly talking about? I was just irritated already when Kimberly went in there and she's like, "You told me to get out of the kitchen," or whatever. Her and Sonny Ono did some shit, and I groaned and I fast forwarded past it. I feel the match was.
I tried to forget about that, Jess. Thank you for reminding me about it.
You should forget about it. And I guess Johnny B. Bad wins by DQ, being thrown over the goddamn top rope, which is the one thing there's a lot of things I hate about WCW.
Don't get me started.
If you get thrown over the top rope in WCW, you lose by DQ. Not the person getting thrown over, but the person doing the throwing. So Johnny B. Bad, even the score. New Japan Pro Wrestling 2, WCW 2. Score is tied. I gave the match a D+.
Well, he's still got a hold
Johnny B. Bad over the top. Johnny B. Bad went over the top.
Yes.
He went over the top. We got a disqualification.
2-2.
And Johnny B. Bad's going to win it. Uh-oh. Oh, no.
No, he's respectful.
Yeah.
Here you go, Johnny. Wail on him, baby.
W.P is the winner of the match, but the match is not over.
Who won the match? We are over the top.
Wow, you were nice. I gave it an F, bro. The only thing I liked about this match was that in the beginning, they slapped the crap out of each other for a good minute and a half. That was fantastic. That was the only part of it that was snug and decent. And then it just got weird and convoluted. And then eventually Johnny goes over the top.
I gave it a D. I just
was really mad about this match.
Like anything lower is because I actually love that slap fest that they got into at the beginning.
It was good.
It's slapping the shit out of each other. I was like, that actually is pretty good. I thought the match might be okay because of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Anytime they use that over the top rope thing, I think is an absolute automatic fail. I don't know why.
So we're moving on in the World Cup. God damn it! It's Otani versus Eddie Guerrero. 13 minutes 43 seconds. Easily the best wrestling match of the night. Easily,
not even a question.
Even though Eddie was virtually unknown to the American audience and nobody knew who Otani was, they actually won the crowd over. When the fall happened, when Otani won, he gets the pin. And when he won, the crowd actually booed him. They were just because they were into it. Even towards the sequence leading up to the finish, they were oohing and awing. I'm not even going to get sick of myself every fucking time I review an Eddie Guerrero match. His footwork is amazing. He's amazing. Everything he does is amazing. I love him even back here. Watching
I've never
him.
seen a bad match with
him. He's fucking fat. He's in a brand new promotion, Eddie Guerrero, and he's trying to fucking prove himself. And he's like, well, the best thing I know how to do is tear the goddamn house down. And he does. With someone he's probably wrestled before. I'm not sure what their history or whatever. But at the same time, man, dude, in 13 minutes, they were confident as fuck carrying that. Longest match, except for the boring triangle match on the card. I gave it an A-, only because I wish because Kevin Sullivan ran down.
Kevin Sullivan came down.
I wish it was 5 years later when everybody knew who Eddie was, and I wanted to see a crowd appreciate this match. So I really only dock it because of the fact that it's a crowd that didn't appreciate what they were watching. But they did start responding to two quote-unquote no-name guys. I thought their response was amazing.
See, I think that's where I left with it too, because I didn't give it that good of a grade. Maybe I should have. I gave it a B, but I think because the reaction wasn't there, that was the only reason for me. They weren't into it until later, and it was a great match. I mean, I said all I have to say is who's worked in New Japan before and who has not in this best of 7, and definitely Guerrero had been there. Otani's great reversal out of the corner with his springboard action. The springboard stuff that Otani was doing was so much fun to see. Very, very high risk, but also a lot of fun. Eddie's head scissor off the top rope and the powerbomb. Oh my God. Just incredible. And the springboard back to Eddie's neck. I thought he killed him. I mean, did you see how Eddie bounced back? It looked really bad. And all the series of roll-ups, and then finally Otani went.
Are you talking about the springboard dropkick?
Yeah, on the back of his neck.
Crazy,
I was like, oh my God, that was brutal. I gave it a B, but I think it was only because of crowd reaction. Because if you look at the work is an AA+, and there's no stupid meddling in the back. I think it's because Guerrero's just not known yet. And I think I fell with the crowd when I was watching it. But still very incredible. If Guerrero was known 10 years later, this would be an A+ all day long. It'd be a lot of fun.
Up on top! Sends him over! Otani rode him over! 1, 2! Eddie rode him over the other way! No! 1, 2, 3! Otani got him! Otani beat him!
Who won that? Unbelievable. The best. Yes! I mean, very good.
Incredible matchup.
Wow.
Otani defeats Eddie Guerrero on a series of roll-ups.
Wow. I mean, say what you want about Otani.
Joe, go ahead.
I give it an A. There was a little bit of the crowd interaction, but I was like, what was my own reaction?
Fair.
My own reaction was an A. I was like, I'm
good.
watching it in my, on my iPad, sitting in my bed, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, oh my God, I was having the reaction that the crowd should have had. So I gave it an A. Watching this match made the whole pay-per-view worth watching. Even if I couldn't fast forward and stop and pause and skip or whatever, if I had to watch the whole pay-per-view just to watch this one match, I'd probably do it again.
Is this still the show match, Joe?
Because that match was it was, well, of course. I mean, I think there's only maybe, the only one that even remotely comes close is the Benoit Liger match. But
I agree.
On a side note, outside of the wrestling though, Randy Eller, the ref, I don't know why I didn't notice it before, but is it me or does Randy Eller look exactly 100% like William H. Macy's character in Peanuts? I was just like imagining
his wife is getting humped on the outside of the ring too.
I bet when Randy Eller goes home, like he gets home and like his wife is like getting banged by a dude in the driveway while like 6 other dudes watch, and he's like, "That's my fucking wife, man."
And then he goes and refs with a classic match.
Yeah.
Craig, go ahead. What do you?
Did you notice how he drew us in on that? And
He
then
did.
just dropped it on us.
Right now, I'm gonna go watch Boogie Nights after we get off.
The match is 100% A. So.
It was my only A of the night. Such good shit. That's all I have.
Thanks, Vince.
The next segment is an interview with me and Gene Okerlund and the Macho Man Randy Savage, who obviously just saw Toy Story that released a month before. Because he said to infinity and beyond. I'm sure he only said it like 2 or 3 times. In my mind, he said it 7,500 times.
To infinity. Yeah.
Like when he forgot what he's going to say, he's like, to infinity and beyond. And Gene's like, we have stopped recording like 5 minutes ago. So
we're live, pal.
Now we go on to that match. The Randy Savage takes on Tenzan in the World Cup of Professional Wrestling, 6 minutes, 55 seconds. It was a simple Macho Man match where he sells for 80% of it and then wins.
And gets a quick pin on the elbow, yeah.
Like Savage would really lose this match when he has to fucking defend the world title later. Yeah. I mean, there was no brainer on this one. Savage gets a pin, big elbow. Everyone's tied up. New Japan Wrestling 3, WCW 3. I give it a C because it's a standard Macho Man match. Nothing bad about it. Nothing great about it.
Yeah, C, quick pin at the elbow. He's like, "Whoa, brother, I can't lose if I got to defend the title later."
You to infinity and beyond.
I can't do it, man.
The first one.
But he is going up top. The Macho Man, defending the world champion.
Yes. Unbelievable, this man, Randy Savage.
The Macho Man, the world champion, has nutted up. And fans, we're going to go to sudden death. Tied 3-3 with Sting.
Can't do it.
Craig, go ahead.
C.
I give it a B minus. I think Savage gave too much to him. He should, like, you don't let your champion take 80% of the punishment like that. I think there's a certain like role.
You've heard of Hulk Hogan, right? You've heard of Hulk Hogan on that?
Yeah. He came out as Tenzin and also
excuse me, Craig. Tenzin was the number 1 contender. I don't know if you know.
Is that why
in New Japan Pro Wrestling
said Hiro Yamamoto? By the way, like I had to Google it because he changed his name recently, so he's Tenzin in here, but his name was also Hiro Yamamoto.
Oh,
so it's like, all right, so get your jacket right. But it's also the greatest elbow drop I've ever seen Savage do. He doesn't give or I think he was favoring his arm, so he lands all his weight over like half of Tenzin's body. That
was his elbow legitimately injured, by the way? I was curious.
I think so.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But I think Savage just should sold a bit too much to be champion on this one. But I didn't hate as much as others. B minus.
Joe, go ahead, Joe.
Tell Terry that.
I'm gonna give it a C minus. I thought it was. I didn't enjoy the match. I thought it was very much a clash of styles. Like they seemed really awkward with each other. The botch at the end, like the out from the inside to outside suplex. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like you're gonna set it up. You want to set up the elbow drop. Like you obviously fucked it up. Like do something else. Like pick him
back up and do it again.
Or pick him back up and do a slam. Pick him back up, throw him in the ropes, do a clothesline, and then a slam or something to reset it up. Because the botch looks so bad that it makes the elbow drop. To me, it takes away from the elbow drop.
Yeah.
Like the elbow drop is
Macho tried to get him back to rehearse at his house, and Tenzan was like, "No."
Iconic and so like when he goes up there and it's it's like it's awesome looking. It's always like it's one of the most impressive finishers I think out there. That too, like when it's not set up right, it just looks cheap and kind of like a throw.
Like the guy's literally laying there for him, like he's supposed to.
Well,
I mean, you can feel it. The match is an afterthought. No, I mean because they had to get to the rest of it. And
that's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, for me, the in ring work is a C minus. The like structure, like how it's structured within the pay-per-view, I think is an F. Like why are you having your champion defend in the stupid or in the World Cup and then also defending later? Again, that match could have easily been put by you put somebody else in there. Like, you don't have your champ Iron Man, and then to lose later just makes it look like shit.
Since the New Japan Pro Wrestling guys obviously knew that WCW was going to go over in the long run, how about you use only your young talent you're trying to push in the tournament or in the World Cup? So that way, when they beat New Japan Pro Wrestling, it looks like they're the up and coming bunch.
You could have made
Benoit, Alex Wright, Johnny B. Bad, and take Brian Pillman, even though he was a veteran at this point, but still, using.
But I'm sure that there was
but a point. Make it a cruiserweight best of 7.
The only guys that go over are the old men.
Right. So the next segment is Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing Ric Flair, who's looking super swole in his Ric Flair Gold's Gym shirt.
Don't forget the hotline.
I say, goddamn.
I saw in the hotline too. But Gene and Flair are the best together on top of everything.
They're fun.
I can say that this was a nothing interview by Flair, but that's literally how much effort he put into it. Not because Flair doesn't care, because that's how goddamn good he is. That Flair just came in there and was probably like, I'm just going to talk shit to Gene. And then he was just all over the place in a great way, and everything. He was awesome, and wearing his great
some double woos shirt at the end.
I laughed. Yeah, he got some double woos in at the end or whatever. I'm like, this is fucking Gene and Flair. Literally, they probably afterwards going like, oh, I forgot I interviewed you. Yeah, I forgot I interviewed you too. Because
let's go have a beer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how fucking easy it is for them to shit out an interview.
Or as Craig was told, you can't afford what I'm drinking.
So. Yeah,
that's right.
So the next match is we're tied 3-3. Okay, so the next match here wins it for the team. We have Sting representing WCW. Kensuke Sasaki, the current WCW United States champion, who beat Sting a month before in Japan for the title, representing New Japan Pro Wrestling. 6 minutes, 52 seconds. At least they did reference Sting losing the title in Japan. I thought that was fine, that they at least referenced that history, that Sting lost it in the interview with Gene Okerlund earlier, too. He's like, why'd you have to bring that up, that I lost? It was a bad night. Again, Sting was going to fucking lose. He was going to lose for the entire company and then have to go on a wrestle triangle match later. Of course, we knew it. It was a solid match. They both always wrestled really well together. Sasaki and Sting did. They were as Sting was young here still. Sasaki was really young. He was like the new star of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Sting wins the cup, defeats him. I give it a C+. Again, that sounds more harsh than it is, but you could tell they both just knew each other very well. Sting was energetic every time he took a bump of his. Sting knew his counters pretty well. I'm not saying they wrestled a New Japan style match here per se, but they both understood how to work with each other. So it was solid. It wasn't bad.
It was just good enough to win the best of 7.
Yeah.
C+ is where I have it. The one bad thing, besides the fact that this could have been a lot better of a match, was this is the first time we see the cup the entire time. And that's just bad.
Oh, yeah,
promotion.
they should have had it at ringside. You're right.
They should have had it the entire time. If this was a Vince promotion, you would have seen it in the promo. You would have seen it at the beginning. You would have seen it every match.
In the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, they all humped the trophy literally as they come down.
And I just why is this the first time we're seeing the cup if it's that important, right? We didn't push it that well. And then I got really pissed off because Sting threw his ass over the top. No DQ there. I thought that was
wow.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Sting can do what he wants.
Because he's fucking Sting. It's not even Sting's fault. I don't care.
Don't start.
It's just they use the rule whenever they feel like it. It's WCW. I want to strangle him.
It's like traveling in the NBA. You only call it when you need to.
Fair.
Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, they can all travel. It's cool. Nobody else can.
Jordan.
Crab dribble, Joe. Crab dribble. You're right. I totally agree.
Craig, go ahead.
I give it a B-.
You're so fair today.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna. But good job, WCW, for pulling it out.
Even said, "Wow,
wow."
The reason for that trophy is some intern was probably running around all of Nashville for an hour. It's like, shit, we don't even have a fucking trophy, so we better hurry up and get one.
Or someone from WCW said, "Hey, when's the trophy going to get here?" And they're like, "Soon." Fuck. And they run and they had to go get it.
And then Mean Gene is like, "I got a champagne joke. It needs to be big enough to put champagne in it." I gotta find a trophy shop.
Joe, what did you give the match, Joe? The conclusion of the World Cup, Joe.
I gave it a C+. I gave it a C+. Not a bad match. I thought that it was the 7th match in a row that I felt like I'd seen it. I felt like we saw 7 matches that were, besides the Eddie Guerrero match, but there were 7 matches that were all kind of variations of each other. Everybody, there was a mullet in every single match, if not two. There was a brain buster in every single match.
I mean, I'm looking at Jess's picture.
Oh, you caught my foot to a ghetto blaster kick to the back of the head in every single match.
Yeah.
And there was, and this was no. I mean, I normally like seeing matches just because of like the energy he brings, and like it's like.
And he still did, to your point. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, like he's not as good as like say Bret Hart wrestling a broomstick, but like he can make you interested in wrestling a broomstick. Just like. I mean, he's not technically good at like Bret Hart or someone like that, but like he's so good. Like you just like he's got charisma that like fucking for days, that you're just like I kind of got to watch his match. Like it doesn't matter what happens. And
not as good as Bret, but better than Cena Joe, right?
And that was by far the saddest looking fucking cup. Like
spray painted gold.
Like, you're paying like hundreds of thousands of dollars to these guys, and you can't fucking come up with like a trophy. Like you look at like the 1988 Crockett Cup trophy for the fucking tag team shit. That shit's like 7 feet tall.
It was
like it's big and like whatever. This looks like they got it at the fucking Goodwill down the street. They were like,
they could have.
And clothesline it down. Kick him to the chest.
Yes, sir, baby. Look at Sting come alive here. Scorpion Deathmatch.
He's got him. The Sting International.
California. Don't let him turn you. Get in.
If he can get him over, he might be over.
He's going to turn it.
Yes.
Yes, hell yes. Yes, yes.
Sonny Ono trying to grab for Sasaki.
The Captain Stake right here.
Out of that. Sasaki trying out of it.
3 to 3, get to the ropes.
Sting pulls him to the middle.
Yes.
And sits down.
He's got him. He's got him. He's going to give it up. He can't get up.
He's got him in the Scorpion right in the middle of the ring.
Look at the faces of the fans out there. They are glued watching Sting.
It's over. It's over. It's WCW.
With a big buzz playing, my friend.
So the next match here is the triangle match we've been talking about.
Can we talk about it less than it actually lasts, though?
Yes. Yes.
Thanks.
It's Sting versus Lex Luger versus Ric Flair for the #1 contendership, who will meet Macho Man in the very next match. This match was 28 minutes and 3 seconds.
What is going on? Why?
So cool.
Here's two things. One, we're running long, and my rage for this match will make us go too long. So I'm going to spare you.
Thank you.
Number 2, I have to go pee. So I'm going to give it a grade. My grade is an F+. I gave Lex Luger, Sting, and Ric Flair an F+. I'm going to go pee. You guys take it.
Yeah, D- on my part too, and I'll do the switch as well. But I have to say that there's no way this match has to go that long. And the fact that someone is on the ring just waiting and not interfering and it doesn't make any sense. The whole match play doesn't make any sense. They should all just be able to go at it. Triple threat. I mean, don't even know if that really existed yet, by the way. Someone have to correct me on that. But I'm just telling you, like, you're just sitting there. You're sitting there and watching them work. And I don't even see them coming in to interfere on pinfalls from time to time. Like they're not even engaged in it. It's so messed up and it's so long, and it ruins a great tournament moment. The picture that Jess has in the backdrop, which I honestly thought that the pay-per-view was over when I saw this. When I saw what Jess is posting, like, oh, it's over. It's over. Oh, this is great. I'm like, what do you mean? There's 40 more minutes left. What are you talking about? Like what?
Shit,
what do you?
Right,
what?
40 more minutes. God damn it. That's right.
Yeah, I'm like, Jesus, are you kidding me? And I'll tell you, Joe, I watched these matches twice, these last two.
Yeah,
I
why?
tried.
Why?
You have to explain why did you watch
Because I couldn't take notes and I couldn't get into it. And if my kid said, hey, Dad, I'm like, what? And I just walked away. I walked away from it like both times. Like, it's bad. It's supposed to be like this great 3 people coming into it. It's just, yeah, D- for me. Sorry. And I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna refill.
I give it an incomplete. I probably watched about 10 minutes of it, and then I kind of fast forwarded to the end, and then I realized it was a double count out at the end, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I have no regrets with fast forwarding a big chunk of it.
What did Dave give it?
I give it an incomplete. I don't know. Did he give it?
Dave gave it an F, I think.
Okay.
Look at this. Flair's going to win it.
That's 5. They're halfway there.
6. Flair 7.
They're not going to get up. If this happens, Flair's going to advance.
9. This thing's over, baby.
It's over. Sting trying to get in, and Flair wins. Ric Flair wins.
Whoa! Oh, history's gonna be made. Oh man, I'll tell you what. He did his time and he took advantage and took the shot.
That is unbelievable.
And he watched it twice, by the way, and he explained it.
What did you get, Joe?
I watched it from start to finish. I gave it a C. I didn't like. I thought that the actual in-ring work stuff was, because the match is essentially 3 different matches. You have Luger and Flair, then you have Sting and Flair, and then you have Luger and Sting. You know, and they're essentially 3 different matches. I thought the match was outrageously too long. I mean, this match should have been like,
that was the biggest kryptonite of this match.
I think 15 minutes tops.
Yeah,
I mean,
you shaved 10 or 12 minutes off this
shave
match.
like a few minutes off. No, you could shave fucking half of it off, to get across what you wanted to get, which was basically that Luger was gonna, like, you didn't need 30 minutes to put into play that Luger fuck Sting. That wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Like, you could have done that way earlier, and then you could have given a little bit more time to Savage and Flair, which needed it.
Let's get into this.
Yeah, we're going to go into the main event. The Macho Man Randy Savage is defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Ric Flair, WCW Heavyweight Championship, 8 minutes and 41 seconds. It sucked because there was not, I'm not saying the match sucked per se. I'm just saying that there was zero crowd response because they were so fatigued. They had seen Flair twice. They had just got off this
Don't defend it on fatigue.
They've just seen a World Cup final.
Yeah, they just seen a World Cup final.
Don't defend it. Don't defend it.
So the WCW, the main event and WCW Heavyweight Championship had zero crowd response, and I thought that was sad. Savage gets thrown out in the ring, and my first thing was fucking Johnny B. Bad. Because he falls by where the mat meets the rail on the outside, and he gets up, and he's a fucking rainbow. And I was like, God damn it, Johnny B. Bad. All his glitter was stuck all over his back.
He's still
like,
bad, Johnny B. Bad right now.
and you know,
that's enough to give it an F right there. Just
Savage, they somehow stack the deck against them and make the match not one of their best matches, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Except for the ending, shit got super fucking interesting in the workings of this match. By God, Flair was bleeding so fucking bad. It was ridiculous. He bled all of the blood in his body for a megaphone shot. And do you want to know why? In Flair's book, he tells the story. He let Macho cut him open.
Yeah.
I never other people cut me open. I always cut myself open. But on this one, Macho's like, I think it'd be easier if I cut you open, which makes no sense. So Flair's like, it's fine, whatever you want. Like, so Flair said,
Macho's all like hopped up on fucking coke.
So after when he was when they did the botched megaphone spot, Savage gets on him like he's choking him, but that's when he cuts him.
That's when he's cutting him, yeah.
Goes to the top rope, and Flair goes to stand up and goes, oh fuck, I need to lay down, and then he flopped down so Savage could drop the elbow. And Savage jumped way too far than his age should have allowed him at that point, and his feet hit first, so it wasn't a clean elbow at that point. So I was just like more entertained. Flair gets up, and he is bleeding like a motherfucker. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
Like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
well, especially with the bleach blonde hair tying into it, it looks so stark and different.
There's sprays of blood all over the mat.
I thought I was watching Mass Transit.
Savage's bandages have blood sprays on his arm. Like, sorry, Craig.
What was the grade?
And then Savage grabs Pillman, who gets on the top rope. Benoit barely makes his cue and just hauls ass in there so he could throw Pillman onto Benoit. The crowd actually popped for that. And then Anderson comes in and hits Flair with brass knucks or white tape knucks or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Arn Anderson hits Macho. Arn Anderson, who had nothing better to do on this pay-per-view, by the way, except for coming at the end here. He couldn't have wrestled a match. Don't do that.
And then maybe, or whatever.
Well,
Flair lays on.
That was Dusty's call, and I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Whatever he do, he gave me brass knucks. I said, fine.
If you're gonna pay me, that's fine.
I'll put it down my pants and pull it out. So he gets the pin. Flair crawls on top of Savage and pins him for the world title. That's that pop again that I fucking love. The place went crazy when Flair won the title. I gave it I'm generous. I gave it a C plus because
We're going to need to get some medical attention. Flair, Arn Anderson nailed Macho Man. Arn Anderson nailed Macho. 1,
Kick out.
2, 3.
We got a new champion of the world. Unbelievable. Look at this. Wow. The Four Horsemen has just electrified WCW and the world throughout the world.
There was something in Arn Anderson's hand.
Look at Rick, it's a mess.
plus because I don't ever want to grade a Flair and Savage match bad because they usually put a lot of emotion into it. The way this card was booked, the way they set everything up, set him up for failure, and then Flair just, I'm sorry, like I almost felt sorry for him. So much blood. He had to leave like quickly,
Immediately.
and they had an interview plan for him. Yeah, and Shivani said we are not going to interview the new world champion because he's being tended to. Yeah, because he probably died.
Like,
He
like I
probably
said,
fucking
right now.
cut an artery in his forehead or whatever.
The only thing I remember being worse than that was Eddie Guerrero and Bradshaw. It was close.
It was really bad.
and on top of it, the megaphone shot was awful.
Yeah.
It was like he like slapped him in the head. He was like he just went. Eh.
And 8 inches above where the wound was.
Yeah, like
It's like on the back of the head.
And then Savage gets on top of Flair and goes, "I'm gonna cut you appropriately to that shot." It was awesome. Right, he
None
cut
of that
all the way
makes
down
sense.
his face. Like,
I mean,
Why
yeah,
would
like
Flair's
for
cut
no
himself for 20 years. Why would you? I don't
and then
understand.
Macho Man out of nowhere just.
I think the hard part about this
he was
too
like
is that
fucking like old like a geyser. Just
It was
Yeah.
bad.
It was so quick. Usually it takes a couple minutes or like a good 45 seconds to see some color. Like you literally blinked and you're like, oh fuck.
oh no,
Yeah.
that was the problem too.
Just
Was
It was that reaction too. It was like, no, you should not be bleeding like that. That
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
like I
that's
was
Because
no.
if you're quiet, you can hear like Macho kind of do it, and you kind of just hear Flair go.
You cut me on my head. I'm the world champion. And then
Jess
that
has the
was
greatest upset Flair impression ever, by the way. I look at it, the grade's the same, but I look at it a little different. I thought that shot, it was way too late. Like he bled like a sieve, but like, why didn't it happen earlier? Why didn't it happen throughout the match? It should have happened to be a disadvantage or
Well,
something.
to his defense at that point, if
Flair would have died,
Yeah,
he would have
if-
lost.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand
I was
it's
just gonna
botched. But like
you would have cut him in the
see-
beginning, Flair would have
like-
died.
But I agree. But you see that, and you're like, "What is happening?" Like, and then it's over. And the other part that really bothers me is, like, everybody and their mom is coming to interfere, and Macho is the one that's holding the ref down in the corner. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Did you not let the ref know what was going to happen before the match?
Yes, Joe, go ahead.
I give it a C plus. I thought
That's 3 C pluses.
to all the stuff that we
The
talked
Ric
about.
Flair fan
The
gives the
only-
match a C plus.
The only reason that I gave it a C plus as opposed to a C was because of
The
when they fell outside the ring, and it actually has nothing to do with the match. It was just like the commentary was that like they're fighting out like down the aisle, and like they show like the audience a little bit. And there was an old lady sitting in the front audience, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And as I say, "Holy shit," Bobby the Brain says, "Oh my God, that woman has hair like a cheetah pet." And I was like,
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was full on. It was like, yeah, okay, that was pretty awesome. Like, that's when commentary comes into play.
So good.
You know, and like,
we
but
haven't talked about
so-
Bobby enough, actually.
so that popped from C to a C plus.
Craig, go ahead.
I'll round out the Quattro, and I will also give it a C plus. But you are allowed to give this also 2 grades. You're allowed to give the match you're allowed to give it up to where Pillman distracts from the whole thing and starts strapping the shit out of Macho Man.
Yeah, with the belt afterwards.
And just for no need.
And Craig
and
spinning into the camera.
not necessary. Spitting in the camera, hitting the shit out of Savage, then kicking Savage, and then taking the belt from Flair and then wearing it himself, and then not giving it back to Flair. I was like, you're fucking pilled out, dude.
Yeah.
You just got to.
That's the thing, though. I mean,
He's
that
Pillman.
was his gimmick, though, man. He was playing it to a piece. Yeah.
But so that was Starrcade 95. So I chose that in the same vein as I chose last month's pick, Survivor Series 98, because they both did 2 different things. They went against the normal Starrcade booking here, just as WWF went against.
And
normal
also, Joe,
Survivor
if you hadn't
Series
noticed yet, Jess likes to torture us with these
booking.
things.
That too. And I
He really
knew the belief.
I didn't think it was a bad pay per view. That was
Give it honestly like because Joe said it in the beginning. The idea was good. And
Yeah, it's a good concept.
we appreciated WCW for trying stuff, for including New Japan. We can rant and rave forever for another hour and 24 minutes about should have been booked.
I think that like if they had done a better execution of this and like they had like actually
really good.
thought this process through a little bit more and
spaced it
like
out.
was like, holy shit, we have a good idea here. Let's do it. Then let's do it right. That this actually could have been like, I don't know if it should have been a Starrcade event, but maybe it could have been its own event, like the World Cup of Wrestling in March. And they did March every year was the World Cup of Wrestling, and they did like a promotional thing because the fucking Japanese shit. Or they could have done stuff. They could have eventually done stuff with like AAA in Mexico and New Japan and WCW, and had those would have been awesome fucking pay-per-views. You know?
I agree.
And they had all the ties to it. Yeah, they could have done it.
I think Joe will agree with me too. It would have been really good if Hogan would have faced Flair in the main event, dropped the leg, and pinned him. I think everything would have been fine.
So stupid.
It would have been fine. It'd have been fine.
That's so stupid.
And Joe, thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure.
You better be coming back.
Great
bro.
job,
this was
Joe.
Fun.
Yeah,
you be coming back.
Fantastic. So
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be included on the most amazing wrestling podcast on the air today.
True.
And it's much appreciated.
Sell it so well. I love it.
That is true.
Included.
He's correct.
There you go.
Don't forget to buy your merch.
Yeah, buy your
That's
merch
right.
here. Yeah.
Joe
For audio
does
fans, give us a listen
in
on Apple,
San
Spotify,
Francisco.
SoundCloud, iHeartRadio's Future and Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, can you do us a favor and get us past 7 followers on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019, or catch us on what's the name again? Meta at Our Wrestling Podcast. Meta.
I don't think they've changed the logo yet, so you're okay for Facebook for now.
All right, Facebook Meta.
Well, maybe
whatever.
about when this releases, actually, I'm lying.
Yeah, well, fair enough. This is Dave, Jess, Craig, and
I
Joe
caught myself.
Sans Cuz with the O.W.P signing off. Have a good one.